Hello, and welcome back to our historical kitchen, where today we're trading our history books for a hero's travelogue. Our destination? The cold, harsh, and apparently very hungry land of Skyrim, a realm of breathtaking mountains, ancient secrets, and a civil war that threatens to tear it apart. A land where dragons darken the skies and undead horrors stalk the ancient tombs. But forget all that. We're here to investigate a far more pressing, far more pervasive issue that plagues this northern kingdom, the rampant and heartbreaking epidemic of pastry theft. Yes, amidst all the political turmoil and world-ending prophecies, the one thing a city guard will stop you to complain about is that someone, somewhere, has stolen their sweet roll. So today, we begin our journey by examining this confectionery contraband, this legendary baked good that has become the unlikely emotional core of an entire nation. Let's unwrap the mystery of the sweet roll. First, let's talk anatomy. What exactly is this thing that's worth risking a jail sentence for? At first glance, the sweet roll seems deceptively simple. It's a spiral of golden brown, yeast-risen dough, baked to a state of fluffy perfection. It doesn't have the rugged, almost weapon-like density of most Nord bread. No. This is a delicate creation. It's a soft, yielding pillow of carbohydrates, a doughy vortex that promises warmth and comfort. But the true magic, the element that elevates it from mere bread to a culinary icon, is the glaze. A thick, generous cascade of creamy white icing that drapes over its coiled surface, pooling in every nook and cranny. It's less of a topping and more of a sugary avalanche, glistening under the dim light of a tavern hearth, practically whispering your name. The ingredients themselves are a testament to luxury in a land of scarcity. We're talking flour, likely sifted more than once, salt, a precious commodity, butter, probably churned from the milk of a cow that has never known a moment of stress, and of course, sugar. Not the coarse, unrefined stuff you'd find in a commoner's pantry, but a finer grain, perhaps mixed with a hint of honey, or a secret blend of spices that only the bakers of Whiterun know. The result isn't just food, it's an edible statement. A statement that says, "Today, I will not be eating dried meat or boiled cabbage. Today, I will be happy." But as we'll see, achieving that happiness often comes with its own set of risks. So what is it like to actually eat one? Imagine you've just spent a day trekking through a blizzard, your fingers are numb, and the wind is howling a song of pure misery. You stumble into the nearest inn, the Bannered Mare or the Bee and Barb, and there it is, sitting on the counter. The first thing that hits you is the smell. A warm, inviting cloud of baked bread, cinnamon, and pure, unadulterated sweetness. It's the smell of home, even if your home is a frozen wasteland. You take a bite. The dough is impossibly soft, tearing away with a gentle sigh. It's chewy, warm, and melts in your mouth. Then comes the glaze. It's not just sweet. It's a rich, creamy, vanilla-kissed wave of pure bliss that coats your tongue. The stickiness is a feature, not a bug. It gets on your fingers, forcing you to lick them clean, extending the experience. It's a culinary security blanket, a hug in carb form. In a world filled with frost trolls, giant spiders, and passive-aggressive jarls, the sweet roll is a moment of profound and simple peace. It's so good, you can almost understand why someone would commit a felony to get one. This brings us to its social context. The sweet roll is more than a dessert, it's a cultural touchstone. It represents a small, attainable luxury in a world defined by hardship. For a child, it's a rare treat. For a weary traveler, it's a taste of civilization. For a city guard standing on a cold stone wall for 12 hours, it's the one bright spot in an otherwise dreary day. Its theft isn't just a petty crime, it's a personal affront. It's the violation of a sacred moment of joy. The guard's obsession isn't a joke. It's a symptom of a society starved for simple pleasures. The sweet roll is the great equalizer, a treasure coveted by paupers, thieves, and heroes alike. And so, the humble sweet roll stands as the perfect introduction to the food of Skyrim. It's a symbol of what the Nords aspire to, a moment of warmth, sweetness, and comfort in a world that offers very little of any. It's the gold standard of happiness, the pinnacle of pastry, and apparently the #1 target for every light-fingered denizen from Markarth to Windhelm. But as heavenly as this spiral of sugary bliss is, it's a treat, a fleeting moment of joy reserved for special occasions or a successful bit of pocket-picking. It's not the fuel that keeps the heart of Skyrim pumping day in and day out. Oh no. For that, you need something far more humble, something that bubbles in every single pot, in every farmhouse, and in every drafty castle across the 9 holds. A dish so common, it's practically part of the landscape. Get ready to trade your sugar high for a bracing dose of reality, because next, we're diving spoon first into the murky, steaming depths of apple cabbage stew. So, you've savored the sweet roll. You've experienced that fleeting moment of pure, icing-drenched bliss. You've licked your fingers clean and perhaps even dodged an angry guard in the process. But that sugary high is just that, a high. It's a luxury, a brief escape from the grim, frostbitten reality of daily life in Skyrim. Now it's time to come back down to earth with a thud and a splash into the simmering cauldron of what truly fuels this kingdom. We're talking about the bedrock of Nordic cuisine, the alpha and omega of the commoner's diet, the dish that's as ubiquitous as snow and suspicion. Welcome, friends, to the world of apple cabbage stew. If the sweet roll is a whispered promise of joy, this stew is a gruff, pragmatic statement of survival. You'll find it bubbling away in the modest kitchens of Riverwood farmers, in the grand halls of Dragon's Reach, and even in the makeshift camps of desperate Stormcloak soldiers. It is the culinary wallpaper of Skyrim, always there, always simmering, always there. So what, exactly, goes into this pot of provincial perfection? The recipe, much like the people who eat it, is brutally efficient and devoid of any unnecessary frills. First, you take a cabbage, not a fancy, vibrant one, but a sturdy, pale green orb that has likely survived a frost or two. You chop it. You don't dice it elegantly. You hack at it with the kind of grim determination one might use to fell a tree. Next, the apples. Again, we're not talking about crisp, sweet, hand-picked beauties. These are the workhorse apples of the north, probably a little bruised, a little tart, and possessing a fortitude that would make a mammoth blush. They are chopped and tossed in with the cabbage. And finally, the liquid. A simple broth, likely made from boiled bones of some unidentifiable creature, and a generous heap of salt. That's it. No exotic spices, no delicate herbs, no fancy finishing oils. It's a dish born of necessity, a culinary shrug that says, well, this is what we have. The whole concoction is left to simmer for hours, or possibly days, until the individual components surrender their identities and meld into a singular, homogeneous substance. But what does it taste like? Let's be generous and call the experience rustic. The first spoonful is a wave of warmth, which, in a place like Skyrim, is a victory in itself. The broth is salty and savory, a thin but comforting base. Then you get to the main event. The cabbage, boiled into submission, is soft, almost translucent, with a flavor that's somewhere between earthy and slightly melancholic. It has lost all of its crispness, all of its fight, and has become a gentle, watery ghost of its former self. And then, the apples. This is where the dish becomes truly special, or at least truly interesting. The cooking process transforms their tartness into a subtle, almost surprising sweetness that cuts through the savory broth. One bite might be a mouthful of salty cabbage, the next a soft, sweet pocket of apple. It's a flavor combination that sounds like it was invented by a child, yet somehow it works. The texture is an adventure in itself. It's a lumpy, soupy landscape of soft chunks. There's no crunch, no resistance, just a uniform softness that requires minimal chewing. This is a good thing, because you're likely eating it while huddled by a fire, exhausted after a long day of smithing, farming, or running from frostbite spiders. It's not a meal you savor, it's a meal you absorb. It coats your stomach, warms you from the inside out, and provides just enough energy to face another bleak, frozen morning. It's the culinary equivalent of a thick wool blanket. Not pretty, but it gets the job done. This stew is the very soul of the common Nord. It's a dish for the people, by the people. The ingredients are cheap, hearty, and can be grown in the stubborn Skyrim soil. Cabbages and apples can be stored for months in a cold cellar, making this a reliable staple through the long, brutal winters. It represents a kind of stubborn resilience. It's not a meal for showing off, it's a meal for getting by. Eating it is a communal act of perseverance. It's the taste of practicality, a reminder that in Skyrim, survival often tastes a lot like boiled cabbage. You don't post pictures of your apple cabbage stew on your Tamrielic social media feed. You just eat it, quietly, and are thankful for the warmth it provides. So we've tasted the peasant's fuel, the humble, hearty stew that keeps the gears of Skyrim turning. It's simple, it's reliable, and it's everywhere. But man cannot live on cabbage alone. Sometimes a Nord needs meat. Red meat. The kind of meat that reminds you of the wild, untamed forests and the thrill of the hunt. The kind of meal that separates the farmer from the frontiersman. So put down your wooden spoon and pick up a hunting bow, because our next stop takes us deep into the woods, in pursuit of a dish that truly captures the wild heart of this land. We're going after a bowl of rich, hearty venison stew. All right, we've scrubbed the taste of boiled cabbage from our memory, and we're ready for the next course. We've sampled the sweet, forbidden fruit of the city and the pragmatic fuel of the farm. But Skyrim is, above all else, a land of wilderness, a realm of sprawling forests, majestic mountains, and vast, open plains teeming with life. And for the Nords who call these wild places home, dinner isn't harvested from a neat little row in a garden. It's tracked, it's hunted, and it's earned. This next dish is a tribute to that spirit. It's the reward at the end of a long day's stalk, a meal that tastes of pine needles and victory. We're talking about venison stew. This isn't your grandma's beef stew. This is a far more primal, more assertive dish. The creation of venison stew begins not in the kitchen, but in the quiet, misty forests of Falkreath or the expansive plains of Whiterun. It starts with the hunt, the patient tracking of a great elk or a nimble deer, the sharp thwack of a well-aimed arrow, and the respectful, if strenuous, task of hauling your prize back to camp. The centerpiece of this stew is, of course, the venison. The meat is lean, dark, and rich, with the taste of the wild. It's cut into generous, hearty chunks. No delicate little cubes here. This is a meal meant to satisfy a hunter's hunger. Alongside the venison, you'll find a supporting cast of root vegetables, the kind that can grow in stubborn soil and be stored for weeks. We're talking potatoes, their earthy flavor a perfect anchor for the gamey meat. And carrots, adding a touch of sweetness and color to an otherwise ruggedly brown dish. But the real secret, the ingredient that elevates it from a simple meat and potatoes meal to a true taste of the wilderness, is the seasoning. A dash of salt, a handful of leeks for a mild, oniony bite, and sometimes a precious few juniper berries, foraged from the low-lying shrubs. These berries add a sharp, pine-like, almost peppery note that beautifully complements the rich flavor of the deer. The whole thing is slow-cooked in a heavy iron pot over an open fire, the broth thickening into a rich, savory gravy that clings to every piece of meat and vegetable. To eat venison stew is to taste the very essence of Skyrim's wilderness. The first spoonful is a deeply satisfying experience. The aroma alone is intoxicating, a woodsy, smoky perfume of roasting meat and simmering herbs. The venison, having been stewed for hours, is incredibly tender. It falls apart on the tongue, its distinct, slightly gamey flavor, a world away from the blandness of domesticated meat. It's a clean, robust taste, like a walk through a forest in autumn. The potatoes are soft and fluffy, having soaked up all the meaty, savory goodness of the broth. The carrots provide little bursts of sweetness, a welcome counterpoint to the richness of the meal. This stew is more than just sustenance. It's a story in a bowl. Each bite tells of the silent forest, the patient hunter, and the connection between the people and the land. It's a meal that feels earned. You eat it slowly, deliberately, feeling the warmth spread through your body, chasing away the chill of the evening air. It's the kind of food that sticks to your ribs, that fills you with a sense of well-being and strength. It's the perfect meal for a warrior returning from patrol, a hunter resting by the fire, or a dragonborn contemplating their next world-saving quest. It's honest, unpretentious, and deeply satisfying. In the social landscape of Skyrim, venison stew occupies a special place. It's a step up from the humble apple cabbage stew, a symbol of self-sufficiency and skill. The ability to hunt and provide meat for your table is a point of pride among the Nords. Sharing a bowl of this stew is an act of camaraderie, a celebration of a successful hunt. It's the meal of choice in mead halls like Jorvaskr, where the legendary companions feast and tell tales of their heroic deeds. To eat venison is to partake in a tradition as old as the Nords themselves, a ritual that connects them to their ancestors and to the wild, untamed spirit of their homeland. We've now tasted the food of the forest, a hearty and noble meal fit for a hero. But Skyrim is not all forests and farms. A huge part of its identity is shaped by its long, dramatic coastline, where icy waves crash against jagged shores. The people who live there have a very different pantry, one that smells not of pine, but of salt and sea. So, let's leave the woods behind and travel north, to the chilly ports of Dawnstar and Winterhold. It's time to sample a local specialty that's as rugged and unyielding as the coastline itself. Prepare your palate for the strange, savory brick known as the Horker loaf. All right, pack your warmest cloak and a healthy dose of skepticism, because we are leaving the terrestrial comforts of the mainland behind. We've had our fill of noble venison and humble cabbage, but the culinary map of Skyrim has a vast, briny border that we have yet to explore. We're heading to the coast, to the frozen shores of the Sea of Ghosts, where the air is thick with salt and the locals have a unique relationship with the native fauna. Here, the star of the menu isn't a graceful deer or a humble vegetable. It's a large, blubbery, tusked marine mammal that looks like a cross between a walrus and a very grumpy potato. Get ready, because we're about to slice into the icon of northern coastal cuisine, the Horker loaf. So, what in the name of the nine divines is a Horker loaf? Let's start with the source. A Horker is a magnificent, if not particularly elegant creature. They spend their days lounging on ice floes, bellowing at each other and generally being large, fatty, and slow. For the struggling fishermen and hunters of ports like Dawnstar, these lumbering beasts aren't just wildlife, they're walking pantries. The Horker loaf is the ultimate expression of Nordic thriftiness. It's an attempt to take the tough, oily, and intensely flavorful meat of a Horker and turn it into something vaguely resembling a respectable meal. The process is a testament to culinary brute force. You take chunks of Horker meat, and we're probably talking about the less desirable cuts here, and grind them violently. This ground meat is then mixed with a binder. What binder, you ask? Most likely a simple flour made from hearty local grains, maybe some oats or barley, and a generous amount of salt to act as a preservative. This meaty, grainy slurry is then packed tightly into a loaf pan, or more likely, a simple wooden or clay mold, and baked until it forms a solid, dense, brown brick of protein. There are no delicate herbs, no fancy glazes. The Horker loaf is pure, unadulterated function. It's designed to be durable, portable, and calorically dense enough to fuel a sailor through a storm or a miner through a long shift. It is, for all intents and purposes, a salty, sea-flavored meatloaf made from a giant sea cow. Now for the million-septum question, the taste. Imagine, if you will, the flavor of the ocean. Now imagine if you could chew it. The first bite of Horker loaf is an assertive, multisensory experience. The texture is dense, unbelievably dense. You could probably use a slice as a doorstop or a makeshift paving stone. It's chewy, grainy, and punctuated by the occasional bit of gristle that reminds you this was once a living, breathing animal. Then the flavor hits you. It's salty, overwhelmingly salty, but underneath that initial saline blast is the taste of the Horker itself. It's a rich, oily, and profoundly gamey flavor, with a distinct fishy undertone that leaves no doubt about its marine origins. It's the kind of taste that lingers. For a while. Is it good? That's subjective. For a Nord who grew up on the coast, it probably tastes like home. It's a comforting, familiar flavor that speaks of hardy folk and their battle against the elements. For an outsider, it might be an acquired taste, a very acquired taste. You don't eat Horker loaf for pleasure, you eat it to stay alive. You hack off a thick slice, maybe slap it between two pieces of equally dense bread, and chew, and chew, and chew. It's a meal that demands your full attention, a culinary endurance test that fills your belly and reminds you that you are indeed very far north. The Horker loaf is a pillar of the coastal economy and culture. It's a cheap, reliable source of food in a region where farming is next to impossible. Horker meat, preserved in these sturdy loaves, can last for weeks, making it perfect for long sea voyages or for stocking a larder against the brutal winter. It's the food of sailors, miners, and the hardy folk of Winterhold and Dawnstar. It's a symbol of their resilience and their ability to make a meal out of whatever the unforgiving sea provides. It's not glamorous, it's not refined, but it is, in its own way, deeply honest. It's a dish that looks you straight in the eye and says, "Eat me or freeze." We've braved the salty, chewy challenge of the Horker loaf, a true taste of Skyrim's harsh northern coast. But the waters of this land offer more than just blubbery mammals. Beneath the surface of its rushing rivers and tranquil lakes, there's a treasure that's far more elegant, far more delicate, and frankly, far easier to eat. So let's wash the taste of Horker from our mouths and cast a line into the freshwater streams. Our next dish is a true delicacy, a splash of simple sophistication in a world of stews and meat bricks. We're going fishing for a beautiful, flaky salmon steak. Deep breath. Let the salty, fishy memory of the Horker loaf drift away on the sea breeze. Our gastronomic journey now takes a turn inland, away from the icy shores and towards the vibrant, rushing arteries of Skyrim, its rivers. After the culinary blunt force trauma of our last meal, our next dish is a portrait of elegance, simplicity, and natural bounty. It's a food that doesn't need to be ground, pounded, and forced into a loaf shape to be palatable. It's perfect as it is. We're talking about a dish that even a high elf would have to begrudgingly admit is acceptable. It's time to appreciate the simple, beautiful perfection of the salmon steak. The star of this dish is, of course, the salmon. Not just any salmon, but the magnificent, energetic specimens found leaping up the waterfalls and navigating the clear, cold rivers that crisscross the land. From the White River that flows past Whiterun to the rushing streams of the Rift, these fish are a common sight. Catching one isn't a battle of brute force against a blubbery beast. It's a dance of skill and patience, a well-placed fishing line, a quick hand to snatch one from a waterfall, or, if you're a bear, a very well-timed swipe of a claw. The result is a prize of stunning quality, a fish with vibrant, pinkish-orange flesh, glistening with healthy fats. The preparation of a salmon steak is a lesson in culinary restraint. You don't need to disguise this ingredient. You need to celebrate it. A true Nord gourmand knows that the best way to cook a fresh salmon is to do as little as possible. You take a thick, handsome cut, a steak, not a flimsy fillet. You don't need to drown it in spices or sauces. A pinch of salt is sufficient. Maybe, if you're feeling particularly decadent, a squeeze of lemon, though lemons are a rare luxury in this part of the world. The real magic happens with the cooking method. The steak is placed directly onto a grill over a hot, crackling fire. No pans, no ovens. Just the direct searing heat of the flames. What does it feel like to eat this masterpiece of simplicity? The experience begins with the sound, the sizzle of the fish skin as it hits the hot grill, a sound that promises a crispy, delicious reward. The aroma is clean and fresh, the smell of cooking fish mixed with the smoky perfume of the campfire. When it's served fresh off the fire, it's a thing of beauty. The flesh is a perfect pale pink, and the grill marks are a badge of honor. You take your first bite. The skin is crispy, salty, and incredibly satisfying, like a perfectly made potato chip from the sea. Then you reach the flesh. It's flaky, tender, and so moist it practically melts in your mouth. The flavor is delicate yet rich, with a clean, fresh taste that speaks of clear river water and a healthy, active life. It's the polar opposite of the oily, aggressive flavor of the horker. This is a taste that feels healthy, revitalizing. It's packed with oils that seem to lubricate your very soul, a welcome dose of omega-3s for a body weary from fighting dragons and climbing 1,000 steps. Each bite is a reminder that not all food in Skyrim has to be a test of endurance. Some of it can be a genuine, unadulterated pleasure. It's a meal that feels light, yet leaves you completely satisfied. The salmon steak occupies a unique social niche. It's a food that bridges the gap between the common folk and the elite. A humble fisherman in Riverwood can enjoy a salmon steak that is, in terms of quality, identical to one served on the Jarl's high table in Solitude. It's a democratic delicacy. It represents the natural wealth of Skyrim, a gift from the land that is available to anyone with the skill to procure it. It's often eaten as a celebratory meal, a fine catch, a special occasion, or simply a desire for something a little bit better than the usual stew. It's a taste of civility, a sign that even in this rugged land, there is room for grace and refinement. We've now dined on a dish of pure, river-fed elegance. The clean, flaky goodness of the salmon has restored our faith in Skyrim's culinary potential. But let's be honest, life as an adventurer isn't always a civilized affair with a grilled fish by the riverside. More often than not, it's a desperate scramble for survival in a dark, dusty, and dangerous place. The pantry of a hero on the job looks very different. So grab a torch, check your health potions, and try not to think about what's skittering in the shadows. Our next meal is a true survivalist's snack, the kind of thing you eat when you're out of options, deep underground. We're about to nibble on some charred skeever hide. All right, take a moment to savor the memory of that perfectly cooked salmon steak, the flaky texture, the clean taste, the general sense of well-being. Now lock that memory away in a safe place, because where we're going, there is no elegance. There is no refinement. There is only darkness, damp, and the gnawing hunger that comes from being lost in a Nordic ruin for 3 days. Our next menu item is not found in a cozy inn or a Jarl's hall. It's found on the floor of a dungeon, next to a rusty trap and the skeletal remains of someone less fortunate. This is the ultimate meal of desperation, the adventurer's last resort, the fast food of the forgotten tomb. Friends, let's talk about charred skeever hide. First, let's identify our protein source. A skeever is not a noble beast. It's a giant, disease-ridden rodent that infests every sewer, cave, and crypt in Skyrim. They are the stuff of nightmares for anyone with a fear of vermin, scurrying in the shadows with their beady red eyes and unsettlingly long tails. They are, to put it mildly, disgusting. And yet, in the grim calculus of survival, they are also a walking, or rather skittering, source of calories. The preparation of this delicacy is as grim as its origin. It begins, one assumes, with a moment of pure desperation. Your sweet rolls are long gone. Your venison jerky has been consumed. You've just fought off a draugr, your health is low, and your stomach is rumbling a battle cry of its own. You see a skeever, you dispatch it. What now? You don't have a kitchen, you have a torch. And so, the cooking process begins. You skin the creature, a task that is surely as unpleasant as it sounds. Then, you take the resulting hide and hold it directly over the open flame of your torch. There's no seasoning, no marinade, no tenderizing, just fire meeting skin. The goal isn't to create a culinary masterpiece, it's to apply enough heat to kill whatever horrifying diseases the skeever was carrying, and to transform the tough, leathery skin into something that won't break your teeth. The result is a blackened, shriveled, and vaguely smoky piece of something. It's less a dish and more a piece of evidence from a very sad campfire. Let's brave the tasting experience, shall we? The first thing you'd notice is the smell. It's an acrid, smoky aroma with an underlying musky scent that reminds you, in no uncertain terms, that you are about to eat a giant rat's skin. The texture is the main event. It's a challenging combination of tough, leathery chewiness and a brittle, carbonized crunch. Imagine a piece of beef jerky that was forgotten in a fireplace for a week. That's the ballpark we're in. Each bite is a workout for your jaw, a noisy, crackling affair that probably echoes ominously through the silent tomb you're trapped in. And the flavor? It's a symphony of burnt notes. The primary taste is char, the bitter flavor of carbon. Beneath that, there's a faint, gamey, and slightly greasy taste that is uniquely skeever. It's not satisfying. It's not delicious. It is, at best, a distraction from the gnawing emptiness in your stomach. You don't enjoy charred skeever hide. You endure it. You gnaw on it grimly. The crunching sound a lonely rhythm in the dark, and you try to convince yourself that the meager protein it provides is worth the existential despair of knowing what you've just put in your mouth. It is the taste of pure, unadulterated survival. In the social hierarchy of Skyrim's food, this dish is at the absolute bottom. It's not even on the ladder. It's buried in the dirt beneath it. This is not food you share with friends. It's not something you serve to guests. It is a secret shame, a meal eaten in solitude and darkness, a story you will never, ever tell your companions back at the Companions Guildhall. It is the food of the lost, the desperate, and the truly, truly hungry. Its existence is a stark reminder of the grim realities of an adventurer's life. For every tale of glorious treasure and dragon slaying, there's an untold story of a hero huddled in a dark corner, grimly chewing on a piece of burnt rat skin. We have sunk to the absolute nadir of Skyrim's cuisine. We have tasted the snack of the desperate survivor. Surely it can only go up from here. But to rise, we must aim high. Very high. We're going to leave the claustrophobic depths of the dungeons and head out into the wide-open plains to seek out a delicacy so rare, so legendary, that most people don't even believe it's real. A dish not made by men, elves, or even orcs. It's time to risk life, limb, and a one-way trip to the stratosphere to sample the forbidden food of giants. Prepare yourselves for the myth, the legend, the mammoth cheese bowl. All right. Cleanse your palate and your conscience. We have emerged from the dark, skeever-infested depths and are blinking in the bright sunlight of the vast, open tundra. We've tasted the food of desperation, a meal born of necessity and questionable hygiene. Now we set our sights on a dish that is the stuff of legend, a delicacy whispered about in taverns, a prize sought by the most daring connoisseurs, and a food item that requires a level of bravery or foolishness that borders on the insane to procure. We are leaving the world of human and elven cooking far behind. Our next course is prepared by the lumbering, enigmatic, and notoriously territorial giants of Skyrim. It's time to investigate the culinary myth that is the Mammoth Cheese Bowl. Let's begin with the production process, which is shrouded in mystery and extremely poor sanitation. The key ingredient is, of course, mammoth milk. Now, a mammoth is not a cow. It's a colossal, furry, and tusked behemoth that does not take kindly to being approached, let alone milked. One can only assume that the giants, who live in a sort of symbiotic harmony with these creatures, are the only ones capable of this daunting task. The collected milk is then, presumably, poured into large leather sacks or skins. This is where the magic, and the questionable part, begins. These sacks of milk are left to hang in the open air of a giant's camp, fermenting under the Skyrim sun, gently rocked by the wind, and seasoned by whatever dust, pollen, and insects happen to be floating by. There's no precise science here, no careful temperature control or specific bacterial cultures. This is cheese-making at its most primal. The milk curdles and separates over time, slowly transforming into a thick, pungent, semi-solid mass. The giants don't press it into neat wheels or age it in climate-controlled caves. They just let it happen. The final product is a lumpy, yellowish, and incredibly potent cheese, often served in the very same rough-hewn wooden bowl it was likely mixed in. It is less a carefully crafted artisanal product and more of a happy, or perhaps unhappy biological accident. So, what does it taste like to risk being launched into orbit by a giant's club for a spoonful of cheese? The aroma would hit you first. It would be powerful, overwhelming. A deeply earthy, musky, and ferociously pungent smell that speaks of wild animals and unpasteurized dairy. It's the kind of smell that clears your sinuses and makes your eyes water. The texture, upon scooping some up, would be thick, lumpy, and slightly grainy, like a rustic cottage cheese that has been working out. It's not smooth or creamy. It is unapologetically rustic. Then, the flavor. The first taste would be an explosion. It would be intensely sour, with a sharp, tangy bite that makes your whole mouth pucker. This is a cheese that has not been coddled. Underneath that initial sour shockwave, you'd find a complex, gamey, and deeply earthy flavor profile that is unlike any other cheese in Tamriel. It's the taste of the tundra itself, wild grasses, hardy herbs, and the unmistakable wild essence of the mammoth. It would be rich, fatty, and would coat your entire mouth with its powerful, lingering taste. Eating mammoth cheese isn't a casual snack. It is a full-body experience. It's a flavor so bold and untamed, you can almost feel your beard growing as you eat it. Who eats this stuff? Well, giants, obviously. For them, it's a staple, a nutrient-rich food that sustains them. For anyone else, it's a dare. It's a trophy. Acquiring mammoth cheese is an achievement in itself. You can't buy it at the local market. You have to sneak into a giant's camp, a place marked by enormous campfires, and the very real threat of being flattened, and steal it. The act of eating it is the final step in a very dangerous quest. It's a food for the boldest of thieves, the most curious of alchemists, and any dragonborn who sees a weird cheese and thinks, I should probably put that in my mouth. It's less about a balanced diet and more about bragging rights. Oh, you had venison stew for dinner? That's nice. I had cheese made by a 10-foot-tall giant from the milk of a prehistoric elephant. We have now sampled the forbidden dairy of the giants, a dish that is as much an adventure as it is a food. We've tasted the very essence of the wild, untamed tundra. But you might be thinking, surely when it comes to the mighty mammoth, cheese isn't the only thing on the menu. You would be correct. For the truly audacious Nord hunter, the mammoth offers another, even more visceral delicacy. A trophy that proves you didn't just steal from the giants, you competed with them. So, sharpen your best axe and get ready for a feast of epic proportions, because our next dish is the roasted mammoth snout. So, you've successfully pilfered a bowl of pungent cheese from under the nose of a giant. You've tasted the fermented fury of the tundra and lived to tell the tale. A lesser gourmand might call it a day, satisfied with their brush with death and dairy. But we are not lesser gourmands. And in Skyrim, when you're dealing with an animal the size of a small house, there's always more on the menu. The cheese was a delicacy of stealth and opportunity. Our next dish is a delicacy of pure, unadulterated conquest. It's a meal that says, I didn't just outsmart a giant, I took down their furry, tusked life partner. It's time to sink our teeth into a true centerpiece of a victor's feast, the roasted mammoth snout. Let's be clear, this is not a dish for the faint of heart. It is perhaps the most visually arresting meal in all of Skyrim. The preparation begins not with a trip to the market, but with a monumental hunt. Taking down a mammoth is no small feat. It requires a team of skilled hunters, nerves of steel, and probably a few life insurance policies. Once the colossal beast is felled, the butchering process is an undertaking in itself. While the lesser cuts might be turned into jerky or stew meat, the snout, the trunk, is reserved. It is a trophy. The hunter who landed the killing blow or led the party often claims it as their prize. The cooking method is as primitive and grandiose as the hunt itself. You don't pan-fry a mammoth snout, you don't delicately bake it. You roast it, whole, over a massive, roaring fire. The entire trunk, which can be several feet long, is skewered on a spit fashioned from a small tree and suspended over the flames. It's a spectacle. The skin crisps and blackens, the fat drips and sizzles in the fire, sending up plumes of fragrant, meaty smoke. It's slow roasted for hours, basted in its own juices, until the tough outer layers become charred and the meat within is tender and succulent. This isn't just cooking, it's a theatrical performance of culinary domination. Now, imagine you are at this celebratory feast. The air is thick with smoke and the smell of roasting meat. The snout is finally lifted from the fire, glistening and formidable, and laid upon a great wooden platter. What is it like to eat? It is, first and foremost, a textural journey. The outer layer, the charred skin, would be incredibly tough and crispy, almost like pork crackling that has been lifting weights. You'd need a sharp knife to carve through it, but inside, a surprise awaits. The meat of the trunk is a complex network of muscle and fat, which, after hours of slow roasting, becomes incredibly tender and gelatinous. The flavor would be intense. It would be rich, fatty, and deeply beefy, but with a unique, slightly sweet undertone that you wouldn't find in conventional livestock. It's a powerful, primal taste. Each bite would be a different experience. One mouthful might be a piece of crispy, salty skin. The next, a meltingly soft, fatty piece of flesh that coats your tongue. It would likely be served simply, carved into thick slices and eaten with your hands. No fancy sauces are needed. The flavor of the mammoth is the star of the show. It's a heavy, deeply satisfying meal, the kind of food that makes you want to beat your chest and sing songs of your own bravery. The social significance of the roasted mammoth snout cannot be overstated. This is not everyday food. This is the centerpiece of a grand celebration. It's a dish that signifies immense success, bravery, and prosperity. It's served at feasts held by great hunters, powerful jarls, or anyone who wants to make a very big, very meaty statement. To be offered a slice is a sign of great respect. It's a way of sharing in the glory of the hunt. Eating it is a communal experience, a way of binding a tribe or a war party together. It's a dish that creates legends, a meal that will be talked about for generations. Do you remember the feast after we took down the great mammoth of the plains? The snout was magnificent. We have now dined at the absolute apex of the hunter's table, a meal of legendary proportions. We've gone from the depths of a dungeon to the pinnacle of a victory feast. But Skyrim's culinary world is not just about what's on the plate. It's also about the strange and wonderful things that could be on the plate. What about the ingredients that aren't for cooking, but for something else? What happens when a hungry Nord stumbles upon an alchemist's satchel? So let's step away from the roasting pit and into the strange, bubbling laboratory of a magician. Our next course is not a single dish, but a buffet of questionable choices from the alchemist's pantry. All right, take a deep breath and steady your stomach. We have navigated the highs and lows of Skyrim's cuisine, from the sublime sweetness of a stolen roll to the monumental triumph of a roasted mammoth snout. We've eaten food that was civilized, food that was savage, and food that was just plain desperate. But now, we venture into a territory that exists beyond the realm of conventional cooking. a place where the line between food and dangerous magical reagent is not just blurry, but completely erased. Welcome, brave tasters, to the forbidden smorgasbord that is the alchemist's pantry. This isn't a single dish. Oh no. This is a conceptual buffet of horrors, a speculative menu composed of things that no sane person would ever consider eating for nourishment. And yet, this is Skyrim, a land of hardy, curious, and occasionally reckless people. You just know someone, somewhere, has looked at a troll fat and thought, I wonder what that tastes like pan-fried. The ingredients are a who's who of the weird and the wonderful. We have the gnarled, pale Falmer ear, the surprisingly hefty giant's toe, the glistening and vaguely reptilian chorus eggs, and the aforementioned quivering glob of troll fat. And let's not forget vampire dust, which raises so many questions, both culinary and ethical. The preparation for these items is purely hypothetical, a journey into the mind of a desperately hungry or pathologically curious Nord. How would one cook a giant's toe? Do you boil it to soften the nail? Do you slow roast it like a bizarre, single-digit pork knuckle? The texture would surely be a nightmare, a combination of tough skin, dense bone, and questionable cartilage. And the flavor? Probably salty, a little gamey, and overwhelmingly foot-like. Or consider the Falmer ear. Thin and cartilaginous, it would probably crisp up if you fried it, turning into a sort of subterranean pork rind. The taste? Likely bitter, earthy, and carrying the faint, damp echo of the dark caves from which it came. Let's delve deeper into this culinary madness. Imagine trying to make an omelet out of chorus eggs. These are not your typical chicken eggs. They are large, squishy, and have a disconcerting habit of bursting into a cloud of noxious gas when handled improperly. A successful chorus omelet would be a triumph of bravery over common sense. The texture would be slimy and gelatinous, the flavor intensely sour and acrid, with a finish that probably makes your tongue go numb. And what about troll fat? You could, in theory, render it down like lard. The resulting greasy substance could be used for frying. Imagine the taste of your morning eggs, now infused with the raw, regenerative, and profoundly unsettling essence of a troll. It's a flavor that doesn't just sit in your stomach, it probably tries to heal it. The social context for eating from the alchemist's pantry is one of extreme desperation, or extreme eccentricity. This is the food of a castaway who has run out of skeevers. It's the experimental snack of a hermit wizard who has spent too long talking to his reagents. There is no feast where a giant's toe is the centerpiece. There is no cozy inn that has fried Falmer ear as the special of the day. To eat these things is to step outside the bounds of society and gastronomy. It's a private, lonely act of culinary exploration that you will never speak of. It's the ultimate expression of the adventurer's mindset. If I can pick it up, I can probably eat it. The only nutritional information available is what you learn from the subsequent stomach cramps, hallucinations, or unexpected magical side effects. We have now stared into the abyss of Skyrim's potential food sources and tasted the madness within. We've considered a buffet that would make a Horker loaf seem like a 5-star meal. It's time to pull back from the brink, to find a dish that can cleanse our palate and restore our sanity. We need something sweet, something comforting, and something with just a little touch of magic, the good kind. Let's travel away from the cold, harsh realities of the north and look to a dish imported from a warmer, more exotic land. A dessert that's as much a potion as it is a pudding. It's time to indulge in the creamy, magical delight of Elsewhere fondue. Let's all take a collective sigh of relief. We have emerged from the dark, speculative world of eating monster parts and have left the memory of giant's toe far behind us. Our journey now leads us to a dish that feels like a warm hug after a very, very strange day. This is a recipe that didn't originate in the frozen peaks of Skyrim, but was carried over the mountains and across the plains by the clever, wandering traders of a sunnier, sandier land. It's a dessert that's more than just a sweet treat. It's a pot of molten comfort, a taste of exotic luxury, and it comes with a little magical kick. We're dipping our spoons into the rich, creamy, and wonderfully potent elsewhere fondue. This dish is a beautiful marriage of Khajiiti ingenuity and Nordic ingredients. The name fondue might conjure images of a simple melted cheese, but this is something far more special. The base of this magical concoction is ale. Not the cheap, watered-down stuff, but a good, hearty Nordic ale, which provides a malty, slightly bitter foundation. Into this simmering pot goes a generous wheel of Idar cheese. This isn't the pungent, aggressive cheese of the giants. Idar is a milder, creamier cheese that melts down into a beautifully smooth and gooey liquid, forming the thick, velvety body of the fondue. But the real magic, the ingredient that gives this dish its name and its soul, is moon sugar. Moon sugar is the lifeblood of the Khajiit people and their homeland of elsewhere. It's a crystalline substance, harvested from the sugarcane grasses of the Tenmar forest, and it's renowned for its intense sweetness and other properties. It's said to be a holy substance, a crystallized moonlight that brings euphoria and heightened senses. When a generous portion of this precious sugar is stirred into the hot cheese and ale mixture, the fondue is transformed. It becomes more than just a savory dip. It becomes a sweet, potent, and slightly intoxicating elixir. The heat of the pot activates the properties of the ingredients, creating a dish that warms you from the inside out, both literally and figuratively. Imagine dipping a piece of crusty bread into this bubbling pot. The experience is one of pure, unadulterated comfort. The aroma is a delightful paradox. The savory, sharp scent of melting cheese, the yeasty notes of the ale, and an overlying, intoxicating wave of pure, sugary sweetness. The texture is thick, rich, and decadently creamy. It clings to the bread in a glorious, gooey strand. The first taste is a complex explosion of flavor. You get the salty tang of the Idar cheese first, followed by the deep, malty bitterness of the ale. And just as you think you understand it, the moon sugar arrives. It's a profound, crystalline sweetness that cuts through the richness, balancing the dish and leaving a pleasant, tingling warmth on your tongue. Eating elsewhere fondue is a deeply comforting ritual. It's a dish best shared with friends, huddled around a crackling fire on a cold Skyrim night. It's a slow meal meant for dipping and chatting. But it's more than just food. The combination of the warm ale and the magical properties of the moon sugar induces a pleasant, gentle buzz. It makes your magica pool feel fuller, your mind sharper. It's a dessert that not only satisfies your sweet tooth, but also recharges your magical batteries. It's the perfect end to a long day of adventuring, a culinary potion that soothes the body and energizes the spirit. In Skyrim, elsewhere fondue is a taste of the exotic, a luxury item associated with the traveling Khajiit caravans. To have the ingredients on hand, especially the precious moon sugar, is a sign of wealth or, at the very least, a sign that you have some very interesting connections. It's a favorite among mages and scholars at the College of Winterhold, who appreciate its magica-enhancing properties. But it's also loved by any Nord who gets a chance to try it, a sweet and potent reminder that there's a whole world of flavor beyond the borders of their cold, harsh homeland. We have finally treated ourselves to a dessert that is both delicious and beneficial, a sweet escape from the rugged fare of the north. We are warm, we are happy, and our magica is topped up. We've eaten our way through appetizers, main courses, and now a fine dessert. Our gastronomic tour is nearly complete. There's only one thing left to do. We must explore the beverages that wash all this down, the liquids that fuel the songs, the brawls, and the very spirit of this land. So grab your favorite drinking horn because it's time for one last round. We're heading to the mead hall to sample the lifeblood of Skyrim and perhaps take a peek at its forbidden counterpart. We're tasting mead and skooma, and so our epic feast across the length and breadth of Skyrim comes to a close. We have dined on stolen pastries and humble stews. We've feasted on the bounty of the forest, the coast, and even the giant's private stash. We've stared into the alchemist's pantry and found solace in a pot of magical fondue. We are full, we are content, but we are also thirsty. A feast of this magnitude requires a proper beverage to wash it all down. Our final stop is not for a dish, but for the very liquids that fuel the soul of this land. It's time to raise a drinking horn to the nectar of the Nords, and then perhaps sneak down a dark alley to investigate its illicit seductive cousin. Welcome, friends, to the final tasting, mead and skooma. Let's start with the undisputed king of all beverages in Skyrim, mead. Mead is not just a drink, it's a cultural institution. It's the golden, honey-infused liquid that flows in every mead hall, every tavern, and every Jarl's longhouse, from Hafengar to the Rift. The recipe is ancient and simple: honey, water, and yeast. But in the hands of a true Nordic brewmaster, these humble ingredients are transformed into liquid poetry. The best mead starts with the finest honey, perhaps from the hives near the Golden Glow estate, and pure water from a cold mountain stream. The mixture is fermented, aged in great wooden casks, and served with pride. There are famous rivalries like the sweet, almost floral Honningbrew mead versus the darker, more robust Blackbriar mead, a choice that says as much about your politics as your palate. To drink mead is to taste the heart of Skyrim. It's served in a rustic tankard or a great, curving drinking horn. The color is a beautiful warm gold, like sunlight trapped in a glass. The aroma is sweet and floral, the unmistakable scent of honey, with an underlying yeasty tang that promises a pleasant kick. The first sip is a delight. It's sweet, but not cloying, with a rich, complex honey flavor that coats the tongue. It's followed by a clean, alcoholic warmth that spreads through your chest, chasing away the chill of the northern air. It's smooth, it's satisfying, and it's incredibly drinkable. You can understand why entire songs are written about it. Mead is the social lubricant of this land. It's used to seal bargains, to toast victories, to mourn the fallen, and to simply pass a long, cold evening with friends. It is the taste of camaraderie. But not every drink in Skyrim is so wholesome. For every brightly lit mead hall, there is a shadowed corner, a skooma den, a place where a very different kind of buzz is sought. Let's talk about skooma. If mead is the golden soul of Skyrim, skooma is its purple, pulsating ID. This is not a drink for respectable folk. It's an illegal, highly addictive narcotic, distilled from the same moon sugar we found in our fondue, but refined into a much more potent and dangerous form. It's a Khajiit creation, smuggled into Skyrim in secret caravans and sold by shady dealers in the dark underbellies of cities like Riften and Windhelm. Skooma is not served in a drinking horn. It comes in a strange, ornate bottle, its shape as exotic and sinister as its contents. The liquid itself is a vibrant, unnatural purple, a color that seems to hum with a strange energy. The taste, one imagines, would be shockingly sweet, a syrupy, almost cloying flavor from the concentrated moon sugar, followed by a harsh, chemical burn. It's not a drink you savor. It's a substance you consume for its effects. Skooma grants a burst of speed and stamina, a frantic, jittery energy that quickly fades, leaving the user drained and craving more. It's the drink of thieves, assassins, and the desperate, a quick, dangerous fix in a hard world. While mead brings people together in shared celebration, skooma isolates, leading its users down a lonely path of addiction and ruin. And so we have the two poles of Skyrim's drinking culture. Mead, the drink of heroes, of community, of warmth and tradition. It is the taste of a roaring fire, a song sung with friends, and the honest golden spirit of the Nords. And skooma, the drink of the shadows, of addiction, of fleeting highs and crushing lows. It is the taste of desperation, of back alleys, and the dark temptations that prey on the weak and the weary. Together, they paint a complete picture of life in this land, a world of noble aspirations and dark realities, of communal joy and solitary despair. So let's raise one final horn of sweet golden mead, a toast to our grand gastronomic tour of Skyrim. We have eaten our way through a world of flavor, from the iconic to the infamous, and have lived to tell the tale. And as the warmth of the honey wine spreads through us, we can rest, full and content, knowing we have truly tasted the soul of the North. Until our next adventure, stay hungry. You don't wake up. There is no gentle fade from black, no flutter of eyelids. There is only the cold. One moment, you are nothing, a coiled knot of dormant flesh. The next, you are, and the world rushes in to punish you for it. It floods you, not through the useless sealed slits of skin where eyes once were, but through your very being. The first thing you register is the stone. It's a cold, wet parasite pressed against your back, your arms, your legs, greedily sucking the meager warmth from your pale skin. It is your bed, your floor, your world, and its greeting is always the same, a damp, indifferent chill. The second thing is the smell. Oh, the smell. To a surface dweller, it would be a suffocating assault, a reason to gag and flee. To you, it is information. It is the language of home. You inhale deeply, not with lungs, but with your entire consciousness, and you begin to read the air. The base note is eternal, the smell of wet rock, a clean mineral tang that speaks of deep places and immense pressure. Layered on top of that is the scent of life, or rather, the life that thrives on death. It's the sweet, earthy perfume of fungus, the pungent aroma of mold feasting in the dark, the smell of things that have been rotting gently and without interruption for 1,000 years. It's a thick, complex bouquet, and it is the smell of safety. But there are sharper notes in this symphony of decay. A faint, acrid undertone, the musky spore of the chorus that tells you the pens are not far. And woven through it all is the sour, familiar stench of your own people. The smell of unwashed skin, of waste left in designated corners, of the communal biological reality of so many living things packed together in the dark. You can taste the iron in the air, the dampness coating the inside of your mouth. This is your morning paper, your weather report, your reality. The air is a thick, textured soup, and you are drinking it in with every breath. Now you listen. Your large, pointed ears twitch, sampling the soundscape. The cave has a heartbeat, and it is the steady, ceaseless drip, drip, drip of water from a stalactite somewhere above. It is the only clock you have ever known. Each drop measures a moment of your sightless existence. Beneath that rhythm, there is a low, resonant hum, a ghost in the stone. It's the vibration of the world itself, the groaning of ancient Dwemer machinery buried even deeper than you are, a forgotten god still sighing in its metallic sleep. The sound is so constant you barely notice it, but if it stopped, the silence would be deafening. It is the foundation of your world's song. You shift your weight, and the sound is a wet, slick tear as your skin unsticks from the slimy floor. Your claws, long and yellowed, scrape against the stone, a sharp skirk in the quiet. You flex your fingers, feeling the taut, leathery skin of your palms, the calluses built from a lifetime of gripping rough rock and crude weapons. The air moves against your skin, a faint, cool draft from a tunnel entrance, carrying a fresh batch of scents for you to decode. You are a finely tuned instrument, built by generations of darkness to read a world that cannot be seen. You are awake. You are cold. You are aware. But the symphony of your solitude is about to be interrupted. The drips and hums are just the stage. The performers are beginning to stir. Your head snaps up, your posture changing from a resting coil to a tense crouch. You don't hear it as much as you feel it. A change in the air pressure, a new set of vibrations through the stone floor. The clumsy, dragging shuffle of another body, the faint, chittering clicks of a tongue, the sudden nearby wave of familiar living warmth, The hive is waking up, and you are no longer just you. You are about to become a part of the hive mind. The singular, cold reality of your own body begins to dissolve. The awareness of your own skin, your own breath, is now just one note in a rising chorus. You are no longer an I. You are becoming a we. The vibrations through the stone floor multiply. The single, clumsy shuffle is joined by another and another. It's a sound you know intimately, the drag of a leathery foot, the scrape of a claw finding purchase, the wet slap of a hand against a damp wall for balance. These are not the crisp, arrogant footsteps of the surface dwellers. This is the sound of your people, the sound of a race that feels its way through the world. Your head tilts, a constant twitching motion, and your tongue begins to produce its own series of sharp, wet clicks. Tisk, tisk, tisk. The sound bounces off the nearby walls, the ceiling, the floor, painting a crude, momentary map of your immediate surroundings in your mind. A pillar here, a low overhang there. But the clicks do more than that. They are answered. From the darkness ahead, a reply, tisk, tisk, tisk. A little to your left, another, clack, tisk. This is not conversation. This is sonar. This is presence. This is the hive mind confirming its own existence. Each click is a declaration, I am here. Each echo is a response, we are here. The air, once a relatively stable soup of damp and decay, is now a swirling, chaotic broth of new information. Each moving body is a walking furnace, a shifting heat signature that you can feel on your skin as a faint warmth. You can sense them, dozens of them, moving through the main chamber like slow, pale fish in an invisible ocean. Each one carries its own unique olfactory signature, a subtle variation on the collective funk. This one smells of recent exertion, a sharp, coppery tang of sweat. That one, older and weaker, carries a sweeter, more pungent scent of sickness. Another, passing close by, smells of chorus acid, a sign of a recent feeding or a careless accident. You don't see your tribe, you inhale them. You begin to move, your own shuffling drag adding to the cacophony. You fall into the rhythm of the colony, a slow, shambling procession towards the central chamber. The sounds become a living tapestry. There's the guttural, phlegmy coughing of the elders, the high-pitched, frantic chittering of the young still learning to control their clicks, the low, threatening hiss of two males bumping into each other, a brief flare of aggression that quickly subsides. There is no privacy here. Every bodily function, every sign of weakness, every flicker of emotion is an open broadcast to the entire colony. You are all swimming in the same sea of sensory data. You reach the edge of the main cavern, the space opening up around you, confirmed by the way your clicks now take longer to return, the echoes fainter, more distant. The collective hum of the hive deepens here. It's a low, moaning thrum, a sound that is part prayer, part threat, part simple existence. It's the sound of 100 bodies breathing, shifting, and being. This is your city square, your market, your temple. It is a space defined not by architecture, but by the density of sound and smell. You feel the press of bodies around you, the occasional slick brush of a shoulder, the unwelcome warmth of another's breath. You are a single cell in a much larger, uglier organism. And it is this organism that now feels a collective, gnawing pang. A shared, primal urge that rises above the individual sensations of cold and damp. It's a hollowness in the gut, a sharpening of the senses, a direction. The hive is hungry. The low hum begins to shift in tone, punctuated by more urgent clicks and impatient hisses. The shuffling gains a purpose. The river of bodies begins to flow in a new direction, pulled by an invisible tide towards a place of profound importance. A place that smells of acrid chemicals, of living meat, and of the strange, symbiotic bargain your people made long ago. You can feel the vibrations change as you approach. The ground here is softer, littered with other things. You are being led to the crawling pantry. The smooth, cold stone beneath your feet gives way to something else, something soft, yielding, and profoundly organic. It's a carpet of filth, a mixture of discarded biological waste, half-eaten fungal matter, and the pulpy, half-digested remains of previous meals. The ground squelches under your weight, and the air, already thick, becomes a suffocating wall of pure stench. You have arrived at the pantry, and the pantry is alive. The smell is dominated by a new, terrifying note, the sharp, sinus-searing reek of acid. It's a chemical burn in the back of your throat, a smell that warns of danger even as it signals the promise of food. This is the perfume of the chorus. The sounds change, too. The soft, fleshy shuffles of your kind are now drowned out by a sharper, harder cacophony. It's the sound of chitin on stone, a constant, creepy-crawly, skitter-skitter click of dozens of multi-jointed legs. It's a dry, rattling sound, the noise of giant insects moving in the dark. This is punctuated by a low, menacing chittering, a sound that is both a threat and a sign of agitation. These are your cattle, your guard dogs, your gods. They are the chorus, and you live in a state of carefully negotiated terror with them. You are their keeper, and you are also sometimes their food. You move forward cautiously, your hands outstretched, feeling your way not along a wall, but along a writhing, living barrier. It's the segmented, surprisingly warm shell of a mature chorus, its body forming a living corral. The texture is bizarre, a smooth, hard carapace, yet you can feel the faint vibrations of the creature's internal workings through your fingertips. It shifts, and a deep, guttural hiss rumbles through its body, a clear warning. You pull your hand back, your own answering hiss a sign of submission. There are rules here, unspoken, but strictly enforced. The chorus are the masters of this domain. You are merely tenants. The primary reason for your visit becomes clear. You smell it, a new scent, fresher and more delicate than the surrounding rot. It's the smell of chorus eggs. You follow the scent, your feet navigating the treacherous, sticky floor. You find a cluster of them, a pile of large, leathery, pulsating sacs. They are warm to the touch and slick with a protective slime that coats your fingers in a foul-smelling film. You handle them with extreme care. To the chorus, these are precious. To you, they are a vital source of nourishment, a protein-rich, if disgusting, meal. You pry one loose from the gooey mass. It's heavy, and you can feel something moving inside. You don't think about it. You can't. You lift it, tucking it securely under your arm. But there is another purpose for this visit. The hive is not just hungry, it is restless, agitated, and the chorus feel it too. Their chittering grows louder, more frantic. They are your early warning system, your blind watchman. Their sensitive antennae can detect changes in the air currents, subtle shifts in vibration that you might miss. They are agitated for a reason. Their frantic clicks and the rising stench of their defensive acid tell a story that you are just beginning to read. Something is wrong. Something is different. Something is coming. You clutch the heavy, squirming egg to your chest and begin to back away, your senses now stretched to their absolute limit. The familiar, comforting symphony of the hive has been corrupted by the frantic static of the chorus. Your own clicks become sharper, more questioning, probing the darkness beyond the pen. The air itself seems to have changed. The old stale scents of home are being disturbed by a new, thin thread of an aroma. It's a smell you know instinctually. A smell that triggers a deep, ancestral memory of fear and violence. It's the smell of sweat, of cooked meat, of warm blood, of iron. It's the scent of something that does not belong here. It is the scent of prey. The chorus egg, once a precious prize, is now a clumsy burden. You drop it without a second thought, the wet thud and subsequent squelch barely registering. Your entire being has narrowed to a single point of focus, the new smell. It's growing stronger. A clear, intrusive line slicing through the familiar fug of your world. It's the smell of the surface, a complex bouquet of wrongness. There's the salty, coppery tang of warm blood and sweat, the scent of a living, breathing furnace. There's the faint, alien smell of tanned leather and washed cloth. And underneath it all, the most offensive scent imaginable, the cold, dead smell of metal. It's a scent that screams danger to every fiber of your being. The hive mind shifts in an instant. The slow, shambling procession becomes a frantic, silent scuttling. The quest for food is forgotten, replaced by a more ancient, more exhilarating instinct. The hunt. Your posture changes. You drop from a clumsy, shuffling walk to a low, predatory crouch. Your movements become silent, your feet, calloused and tough, making almost no sound on the slick stone. Your claws extend, clicking softly as they scrape the rock. Ready. Your head is a constant swivel, your ears twitching, your tongue flicking out, tasting the air, painting a three-dimensional map of the enemy's location. The clicks of your brethren become sparse, more deliberate. A single teask from the tunnel ahead is answered by a soft clack from the ledge above. The hive is communicating, coordinating, transforming the familiar tunnels of home into a calculated killing floor. You move towards the scent, your body a weapon. The path is second nature. You could navigate these tunnels in a hurricane. You feel the subtle groove in the floor worn by generations of your kind, the familiar texture of a patch of moss on the wall, the way the air cools as you pass the entrance to a deep crevice. This is your territory. Every drip, every echo, every draft is a known quantity. The intruder, on the other hand, is a symphony of noise. You can hear them now, the clumsy, heavy thump-thump of booted feet, so different from your silent shuffle. The rhythmic shh-shh of cloth rubbing against itself. The unforgivable clank of metal armor. They are a walking alarm bell, a beacon of vulnerability in your world of silence and stealth. The prey is close. The scent is almost overwhelming now, a thick, greasy smear in the air. You can hear their breathing, the harsh, ragged sound of a creature not accustomed to the damp, thin air of the deep. You can even hear the frantic, hammering pulse of their heart, a frantic drumbeat of fear that travels through the stone itself. You press your body flat against a rock wall, the cold seeping into your skin, masking your own heat signature. You are just another piece of the cave now, another shadow in the dark. Your brethren are doing the same, creating a 360-degree ambush. They are on the ledges above, in the crevices below, behind the pillars ahead. The entire cavern has become a loaded trap, and the intruder has just stepped on the pressure plate. A low, guttural growl rumbles in your chest, a sound you barely manage to suppress. The predator's instinct is screaming to be unleashed. The air is electric with anticipation. The clicks have stopped entirely. There is only the sound of the intruder, the dripping water, and the collective silent held breath of 24 hunters. You wait for the signal. The signal will be the first scream. The hunt is a sacred ritual, a violent affirmation of your right to exist in this darkness. You are the rightful heirs to this subterranean kingdom. And this foolish, noisy creature of the light is about to be reminded of that fact in the most brutal way possible. But as you tense, ready to spring, your trailing hand brushes against something that doesn't belong. It's not the rough, organic texture of the cave wall. It's smooth. It's cold. It's unnervingly flat, with sharp, perfect edges and strange, repeating patterns carved into its surface. It's the scentless, lifeless touch of metal, but not the metal of the intruder. This is older, deeper. It hums with a silent, dead power that makes your skin crawl. You have stumbled upon a ghosts of metal, the Dwemer echo. The world contracts. The overwhelming scent of the prey, the frantic drumming of their heart, the coiled tension in your own muscles. It all fades to a distant murmur. Your entire consciousness is now focused on the tips of your 4 fingers, on the thing you are touching. It's a sensation so alien, so profoundly wrong, that it momentarily short-circuits your predatory instincts. Your world is one of organic chaos. Rock is rough, uneven, sculpted by water and time. Fungi are soft and yielding. Chitin is curved and segmented. Everything is imperfect, alive or decaying. This is something else entirely. It is cold. Not the familiar damp cold of the cave, but a deep, lifeless cold that seems to suck the heat from your very bones. It is smooth, unnaturally so. Your fingers, calloused and scarred, slide across its surface without a single catch, a sensation so foreign it's almost painful. There are no pores, no cracks, no imperfections. It feels like cooled lava, but without the texture. Like ice, but without the wetness. It is a sterile, dead thing embedded in the living rock of your home. You trace its edges. They are perfect right angles, lines so straight they feel like a geometric scream in the dark. Your mind, which understands the world through curves and lumps and ragged edges, cannot properly process this. It is the physical manifestation of an idea your race has long since forgotten. You press your ear against its surface, and the world changes again. The external sounds of the cave are muffled, but a new sound emerges, traveling directly into your skull. It's that low, resonant hum you've lived with your entire life, but now it is clean, pure, and terrifyingly close. It is the sound of the machine, the ghost in the stone. You can feel the vibrations of it, a steady, rhythmic pulse that feels like a slow, metallic heartbeat. It's the sound of something impossibly ancient, still performing its function long after its creators have vanished into dust and memory. The metal is a tombstone, and you are listening to the ghost trapped inside. Your fingers explore further, tracing grooves and patterns etched into the surface. They are not the random scratches of claws or the meandering paths of water. They are deliberate. Intricate webs of interlocking lines, concentric circles, and angular glyphs that mean nothing to you. Yet, as you touch them, a strange phantom sensation prickles at the base of your skull. Not a memory, but the echo of a memory. A deep, ancestral shudder that whispers of a time when your people were not this. A time when they understood these lines, perhaps even made them. A time before the darkness, before the slavery, before the betrayal. The feeling is gone as quickly as it came, leaving only confusion and a vague, unsettling sense of loss. This place, this wall, is a scar. It's a place where the natural world of your cave was violated by another, older power. Your people avoid these metallic zones. The air here feels thin and static. The fungi do not grow as thick. The echoes of your clicks sound different, sharper, emptier, as if the metal swallows them. You are an organism of flesh and instinct, and this is a place of logic and artifice. It is poison to your way of life. It is a reminder that you are not the first to claim this darkness. You are just the latest scavengers, nesting in the corpse of a dead civilization, utterly oblivious to the grandeur and horror of what came before. A sudden, sharp cry from the center of the cavern shatters your trance. It's not one of yours. It's the prey. The hunt has begun without you. The sound snaps you back to the present, the cold metal forgotten. The primal, urgent need for violence and sustenance washes away the ghostly whispers of the past. The bloodlust returns, hot and demanding. The time for contemplation is over. The time for tearing and feeding has begun. You pull your hand away from the dead metal as if burned and scramble back into the fray, drawn by the beautiful, chaotic sounds of the primal feast. You are no longer an individual. You are a component in a feeding frenzy. The carefully coordinated ambush dissolves into a mad, chaotic scramble for the prize. You launch yourself from the wall, a pale, scrambling horror, driven by a hunger that is both physical and existential. The air, which moments ago was electric with the silence of the hunt, is now a thick, hot soup of violence. The dominant smell is the one your kind craves above all others. The rich, intoxicating, coppery perfume of freshly spilled blood. It's a scent that short-circuits all higher thought, reducing you and your brethren to your most basic, primal programming. The sounds are a wet, percussive symphony. The thump of the prey's body hitting the stone floor. The sickening rip of tough leather and cloth being torn away by dozens of clawed hands. The deeper, more resonant tear of sinew and muscle giving way. This is punctuated by the chorus of your people, a cacophony of guttural snarls, possessive hisses, and the wet, greedy chomping of a successful kill. There is no order here, no etiquette. It is a writhing, pale mass of bodies, all crawling over each other, fighting for a purchase, for a piece of the rapidly dwindling warmth. You feel the slick, hot splash of liquid on your skin. You don't know if it's the prey's or a rival's. It doesn't matter. You push and claw your way into the writhing pile. Your senses overwhelmed. You feel the press of other bodies, the sharp poke of a claw in your side, the frantic energy of the hive mind focused on a single glorious task. Your hands find purchase on something soft and warm. You pull, you tear. A chunk comes away, and you lift it to your mouth without a moment's hesitation. The taste is an explosion. It is the only flavor that truly matters. It is warm. It is salty. It is life. The flesh is tender, so different from the chewy fungus and slimy chorus eggs that make up your usual diet. This is a delicacy, a luxury, a sacrament. The feast is a brutal, efficient process. There is no savoring. There is only consuming. You tear off another piece, chewing with a frantic energy, your sharp teeth making quick work of the soft tissue. A growl rumbles in your chest as another of your kind tries to shoulder you out of the way, their claws raking at your prize. You respond with a vicious, open-mouthed hiss, baring your teeth, your own claws lashing out to defend your portion. This is the only law of the feast. What you can hold, you can eat. The hierarchy of the hive is briefly forgotten, replaced by the simple, brutal arithmetic of strength and aggression. The strongest eat first, the weakest get the scraps. In moments, it is over. The central point of heat, the source of the feast, is gone. The frenzy subsides, leaving a satiated, twitching calm. The sounds of tearing are replaced by the more leisurely noises of licking fingers and crunching on the smaller, harder bits. The air is heavy with the cooling scent of death, a smell of profound satisfaction. You retreat from the pile, clutching your last piece, and find a quiet corner to finish your meal in peace. The warmth in your belly is a welcome change from the eternal cold of the stone. It's a feeling of power, of victory, of having asserted your place in the natural order of the darkness. You have killed. You have eaten. You have survived. As the blood-fueled energy begins to settle, the hive mind reasserts itself in a new way. The chaotic aggression melts away, replaced by a kind of communal, drowsy contentment. But your attention is drawn away from your own full belly towards the center of the main cavern. There is another focal point here, one that has nothing to do with food or violence. It's a place that hums with a different kind of energy, a place the hive gravitates towards after a successful hunt. It's a place of reverence. You can feel the psychic weight of it, the focus of the shaman's strange power. Your feet, almost of their own accord, begin to shuffle you towards the totem of the sightless. The warmth in your gut is a pleasant, heavy anchor, but a different gravity is pulling you now. The frantic, individualistic energy of the feast bleeds away, and the hive coalesces once more. You are drawn, along with the rest of your satiated brethren, towards the heart of your cavern. The air here changes again. The raw, coppery scent of the recent kill is still present, but it's mingled with something older. The dry, dusty smell of old bone and the faint, smoky aroma of burning, unidentified herbs. The sounds become focused, hushed. The random shuffles and clicks resolve into a slow, almost reverent procession. All attention is being directed toward a single point. You feel it before you can smell or hear it clearly. A pillar of psychic weight in the center of the cavern. It's a place that feels dense, important. As you get closer, you can feel a faint warmth radiating from it, but it's not the vibrant, living heat of a body. It's the steady, contained warmth of a ritual fire, a small, controlled flame that flickers at the base of the object. This fire is the only source of light in your world, and though your kind cannot see it, you can feel its presence on your skin, a patch of warmth that dances and shifts. You can hear its hungry crackle and hiss, a sound utterly alien to the damp dripping of the cave. Your outstretched hand finally touches the object itself, the totem. It is a grotesque masterpiece of tactile sensations. It's a crude pillar, taller than you are, and it feels like it's made of everything. The base is a collection of large, smooth skulls, human, orc, perhaps even some of your own kind, lashed together with strips of tough, leathery hide. Your fingers trace the empty sockets, the lines of teeth. Further up, the totem becomes a jagged lattice of sharpened bones and antlers, a chaotic explosion of points and edges. Woven into this framework are stranger things: scraps of metal armor taken from prey, strings of chorus chitin that rattle when the air moves, and shriveled, dried things that might have once been organs. The entire structure is sticky with layers of dried blood and other unidentifiable fluids. It is a monument to your history, a story told in bone and gristle. At the base of the totem, next to the fire, sits the shaman. You know him not by sight, but by his unique aura. He smells of the strange herbs he burns, and he radiates an energy that is different from the rest of the hive. A focused, crackling power that makes the air around him feel thick. He is not shuffling or clicking. He is humming, a low, monotonous, guttural chant that seems to vibrate in your own chest cavity. It's a hypnotic, repetitive sound, and the hive falls silent to listen. This is the closest your people have to a leader, a historian, a priest. He is the keeper of the rituals, the interpreter of the weird vibrations from the Dwemer metal, the one who decides when the hive hunts. The shaman's humming grows louder, developing into a rasping, choking series of words in your crude language. They are not a conversation. They are a proclamation. He speaks of the feast, of the warmth of the prey's blood, of the strength of the hive. He recounts the hunt, his voice rising in pitch, mimicking the scream of the victim, and the hive lets out a collective, appreciative hiss. This is your religion, a simple, brutal faith built around the realities of your existence: darkness, hunger, hunting, and survival. The totem is your scripture, the shaman is your prophet, and the fresh blood is your sacrament. You stand there, a part of the silent, swaying congregation, feeling the heat of the fire on your face, the grotesque textures of the totem under your hand, and the shaman's words vibrating through your bones. But this moment of communal spiritual peace is about to be shattered. A new sound intrudes. It's not from the hive, it's from the tunnels. At first, it's faint, easily mistaken for the echo of a rockfall, but it grows louder. It's a sharp, ringing clamor, the clean, piercing sound of metal striking metal. It's followed by a chorus of voices, not the guttural rasp of your kind, but the loud, arrogant shouts of the surface dwellers. They are not stumbling or lost this time. They are organized. They are hunting you. The shaman's chant cuts off with a startled gasp. The hive mind recoils, a wave of collective shock and terror. The totem, the fire, the satiated warmth in your belly, all of it is forgotten, replaced by a sudden, terrifying realization. You are no longer the hunters. This is the unwelcome light, the cacophony of invasion. The sacred silence is murdered. The shaman's voice chokes off, and the communal trance of the hive shatters into a million shards of pure panic. The new sound is a violation. It's not the clumsy stumbling of a lone explorer. This is the rhythmic, purposeful clang of an armed party. It's the sound of marching feet in heavy boots, the resonant shing of swords being drawn from sheaths, the arrogant shouts of a language you know only from the screams of your victims. They are not lost. They are here for you. The warmth of the ritual fire on your skin is suddenly joined by another, brighter, more aggressive heat from the tunnel mouth. It's the dancing, predatory heat of torches. Your world, a carefully balanced ecosystem of sound and scent, is thrown into utter chaos. The invaders are a sensory atom bomb. Their torches vomit a thick, acrid smoke that blinds your sense of smell, overwhelming the familiar sense of damp and decay with the stench of burning pitch. The light itself, though you cannot see it, is a palpable force. It's a pressure, a physical weight on your skin, a terrifying wave of energy that makes your nerve endings scream. The very air crackles with an alien energy, the sharp ozone tang of magic, a smell that promises pain from a distance. The hive mind breaks. There is no coordinated plan, no silent ambush. There is only a single, unified command hardwired into your brain: kill. Your body, moments ago relaxed and heavy with food, is now a taut wire of adrenaline. You rip a sharpened femur from the base of the totem, its familiar weight a small comfort in the rising chaos. The air fills with the sounds of your people, not the coordinated clicks of the hunt, but a cacophony of enraged, terrified hisses, shrieks, and war cries. You are no longer a hunter. You are a cornered animal, fighting for the survival of your nest. You charge, a pale nightmare surging from the darkness, joining a wave of your brethren. The tunnel mouth is a choke point, a swirling vortex of sensory overload. You can hear the panicked shouts of the invaders as the first wave of your kind hits them. The clean clang of their steel is answered by the wet, sickening thud of crude bone clubs meeting flesh and armor. A high-pitched scream, this time from one of them, is a brief, triumphant note in the symphony of battle. But then comes the reply. A deafening roar of fire and a wave of incinerating heat washes over the front lines. The air is instantly filled with the horrifying, Swedish smell of your own kind being cooked alive, their shrieks of agony cutting through the din. This is not a hunt. It is a meat grinder. You are in the thick of it, a whirlwind of pure instinct. Your world is a confusing, terrifying mess of immediate sensations. The jarring vibration that travels up your arm as your bone club smashes against a metal shield. The hot, wet splash on your face as the warrior next to you is eviscerated by a sword. The disorienting flash of magical cold that freezes a patch of your skin, making it brittle and numb. You swing wildly, aiming for the sources of heat, for the loud shouts, for anything that does not belong. You connect. You feel the crunch of bone, the giving of soft tissue, and you are rewarded with a gurgling cry. You have wounded one, or killed one. You don't know. You don't have time to know. You can only swing again. The battle is a churning, chaotic knot of bodies, both yours and theirs. The floor is slick with blood and worse, making your footing treacherous. The air is so thick with the smells of smoke, magic, and death that you can barely distinguish friend from foe. You rely on the basest of senses. You strike at anything that smells of steel and sweat, and you try to avoid the blows coming from the direction of the loudest noises. It is a desperate, losing battle. They have steel. They have magic. They have light. You have numbers, rage, and a familiarity with the terrain. But your home has become your tomb, and its sacred halls are being desecrated by the sounds and smells of your own destruction. The hive is being broken. The fight is no longer about victory. It's about making them pay for every inch of stone. But the sounds of your brethren are thinning, their war cries turning to death rattles. The overwhelming force of the invasion is pushing you back, scattering the survivors. The only instinct left is to flee, to find the deep places, to disappear into the long quiet. The rage is gone. The adrenaline has evaporated, leaving behind a cold, trembling exhaustion. The furious, chaotic energy of the battle has dissipated, and a new, terrible soundscape rushes in to fill the void. It is the sound of defeat. The loud, arrogant shouts of the invaders are now distant, punctuated by occasional laughter, a sound more hateful than any war cry. Their heavy-booted footsteps are no longer a frantic shuffle of combat, but the slow, deliberate tread of conquerors exploring their new prize. The roar of their magic and the clang of their steel has been replaced by the steady, triumphant crackle of their torches, which you can still feel as patches of oppressive heat moving through your central cavern. You are no longer a warrior. You are a survivor, a ghost. Your only instinct is to flee. You don't run, you melt. You scramble away from the heat and noise, your body low to the ground, and disappear into the labyrinthine network of small, tight tunnels that branch off from the main chambers. These are the places the surface dwellers, with their bulky armor and arrogant strides, cannot or will not follow. You squeeze through a crack in the rock, the stone scraping against your back. The pressure, a strange, perverse comfort. Here, in the tight embrace of the earth, you are safe. The air in these deep passages is different. It is clean. The thick, horrifying stew of smoke, blood, and ozone has not penetrated this far. Here, the familiar, comforting smell of wet stone and ancient fungus returns. It is the smell of your sanctuary, now tainted by the knowledge of its violation. You press onward, deeper, driven by an instinct to put as much rock as possible between you and the sounds of your failure. You are not alone. You can hear the faint, wet scuttling of other survivors in the tunnels around you. You can smell their fear, a sharp, sour scent that now mingles with the smell of their wounds. The quiet is not silent. It is a tapestry of pain. The steady drip, drip, drip of the cave is now the rhythm section for a choir of suffering. From a nearby tunnel you hear a low, continuous moan, the sound of a fellow survivor slowly bleeding out. Further away, a series of sharp, choked gasps signals another succumbing to their injuries. These are the sounds that will define the next cycle. The sounds of the hive licking its wounds, counting its dead, not by name, but by the cessation of their pained breathing. You find a small, hollowed-out alcove and curl into a tight ball, your body shaking uncontrollably. The warmth in your belly from the feast feels like a sick joke now, a cruel reminder of the peace that was stolen from you. You listen, you wait. Your world has shrunk to this tiny pocket of cold, damp darkness. You track the movement of the torches in the main cavern by the faint shifts in air pressure and the distant, muffled sounds that travel through the stone. You hear them ransacking your home, their voices echoing as they discover the Chaurus pens, the totem, the scattered remains of their fallen comrades and yours. Each distant shout is a fresh violation, a new desecration of your world. You lie there, helpless, a nerve ending in a body that has been brutalized, waiting for the pain to stop, waiting for them to leave. Hours pass, or perhaps moments. Time has lost its meaning, measured only by the slow cooling of your skin and the gradual fading of the invaders' distant sounds. Eventually, the heat patches recede, the foreign voices fade, the crackle of their torches disappears, leaving only the familiar eternal darkness. They are gone. But the silence they leave behind is heavier, more profound than any silence you have ever known. It's a hollow, ringing quiet, thick with the ghosts of the dead and the stench of defeat. It is in this profound, empty silence, as you lie trembling in the deep, that something strange begins to stir. It is not a sound, not a smell, not a feeling. It is a phantom limb, a flicker of something that was lost so long ago it has no name. It is the sunken memory. You lie in the cold, silent dark. The hive is broken. The air is scrubbed clean of invaders, leaving only the stale, familiar sense of home, now layered with the ghosts of smoke and blood. Your body is a map of aches and shallow cuts. Your belly is empty again. The warmth of the feast is a distant, mocking memory. There is nothing to do. No prey to hunt, no hive to communicate with, no totem to worship. There is only the rock, the drip, and the waiting. It is in this absolute sensory vacuum, this profound state of non-being, that it happens. It starts not as a thought, for you do not think in words or images. It begins as a flicker, a neurological misfire, a ghost in the machine of your biology. For a fraction of a second, the useless, sealed flaps of skin on your face, the things that were once eyes, prickle with a phantom sensation. It's a feeling you have no name for, a ghost of a sense you have never known. It's an echo from a time before the fall, a signal from a brain that was designed for a different world, still trying to perform a function that has been obsolete for millennia. Then comes the next ghost. A strange, unfamiliar warmth blooms on the skin of your face and arms. It's not the aggressive, dancing heat of a torch, nor the contained warmth of the ritual fire. This is a gentle, pervasive, all-encompassing warmth. It feels clean. It feels like it's coming from everywhere at once. You have no context for it. It is the sun, a memory, encoded in your very DNA of a time when your ancestors walked under an open sky, their pale skin kissed by a star they could see. The sensation is so alien, so deeply contrary to your existence of cold and damp, that it is almost painful. It is a warmth that promises a world you cannot even conceive of. The phantom sensations build. You feel a light, shifting pressure moving across your skin. It's not the damp, heavy air of the cave. It is a breeze, carrying with it scents that are utterly impossible. The sharp, clean perfume of pine needles. The sweet, complex fragrance of a mountain flower. The rich, loamy smell of actual soil. These are not the smells of your world, which is built on a foundation of rot and decay. These are the smells of life, of growth, of a world that is not a closed, subterranean loop. The phantom wind whispers of vast, open spaces, of distances so great your echolocation clicks would be swallowed by the silence. It is a cascading failure of your senses, a waking dream that assaults you with the reality of what you have lost. For a fleeting, agonizing moment, the darkness in your mind is pierced, not by light, but by a concept of up, a concept of sky, a concept of white. The cold, wet stone beneath you feels, for a second, like something soft, cold and crystalline. Snow. The memory is not yours. It belongs to your entire race, a shared, deeply buried trauma of a paradise lost. It is the curse of the betrayed. You are not just a monster hiding in the dark. You are the ruin of a once great people, forever haunted by the ghosts of a world you were stolen from. And then, as quickly as it came, it is gone. The phantom warmth recedes. The impossible smells vanish. The prickling in your vestigial eyes subsides. You are back. You are in the cold. You are in the dark. You are in the damp. A low, wretched moan escapes your throat, a sound of profound animal grief for something you did not even know you had. The sunken memory fades, leaving you more hollow than before. You uncurl your stiff body. The first tentative clicks of other survivors begin to echo in the distant tunnels. The hive is beginning to reform, to stitch itself back together with the clumsy threads of instinct. You must rejoin them. You must hunt again. You must kill again. You must survive. Because in the end, that is all you are. A survivor, a monster, a memory, trapped in a prison of flesh and stone, forever dreaming of a sun it will never feel again. You were born into the sound. Before you knew the warmth of a mother's arms, you knew the rhythm of the pickaxe. It was the city's heartbeat, a constant percussive lullaby that echoed from the stone walls of your home, traveled through the floorboards, and settled deep within your bones. It was the first sound you ever heard, and you know, with the certainty of a gravestone, that it will be the last. This is Markarth, a city carved from a mountain's corpse, and you, from your very first breath, are destined to be one of its maggots, burrowing ever deeper into the carcass. Your home is not a house of wood and thatch, warmed by a gentle hearth. You live in the Warrens, a damp, crowded slum carved directly into the rock, a place that smells perpetually of wet stone, unwashed bodies, and the simmering despair of the poor. The air is thick with a fine, almost invisible dust that coats everything. The rough-spun blankets you sleep under, the stale bread you eat, the inside of your own lungs. It is silver dust, the wealth of the city, and it is the same dust that will one day choke the life from you. You learn to breathe it. You have no choice. Your toys are not carved wooden soldiers or soft cloth dolls. Your toys are the city's refuse. A chipped piece of Dwemer metal, smooth and cold to the touch, a strange relic from the ghosts who built this place, a discarded pickaxe head, too blunt for the mines but heavy enough in your small hands to feel important. Your playground is not a green field, but the grimy, stone-paved courtyards of the Warrens, where the only sunlight is a sliver of pale sky, framed by the towering, oppressive rock faces of the city. You watch the smelters glow in the distance, their orange light a false dawn, their smoke another flavor of poison in the air. You see the miners every day. They are your father, your uncles, your neighbors. They leave before dawn, their shoulders slumped with a weariness that sleep cannot cure. They return after dusk, their faces caked in grime, their knuckles bloody, their eyes hollow. But in their hands, they carry the heavy, lumpy sacks of silver ore. You see the way they walk, stooped over as if the mountain itself is still sitting on their backs. You hear their cough, a dry, rattling hack that seems to bring up dust from the very depths of their souls. This is your future. You do not dream of being a warrior or a mage. Such dreams are a luxury, and they do not grow in stone. You dream of being strong enough to lift the pickaxe. This city is a marvel, a testament to the power of stone and the ambition of men. The great waterfalls that cascade down its sides, the impossible stone bridges, the towering halls of the Jarl. It is a place of breathtaking, brutal beauty. But you learn very young that this beauty is not for you. You are the foundation. You are the unseen, the unheard, the unremarkable. You exist to dig the silver that pays the guards, that plates the Jarl's goblet, that funds the endless ambitions of the silver blood family who own this city, own the mines, and own you. For every beautiful ring forged in the smelter, a piece of a miner's life is burned away, and so you grow, a pale plant reaching not for the sun, but for the darkness below. You learn the language of stone before you learn the language of men. You learn the heft of a tool, the ache of a muscle, the taste of dust. You are being prepared. The lullaby of the pickaxe is no longer just a sound. It is a summons, a promise. The day is coming when the city will demand more from you than just your breath. It will demand your hands, your back, your youth. The day is coming when you will descend into the earth and begin to pay your family's debt, a debt written in silver. It is the day you will trade your childhood for a tool and take your first real step into the darkness that has been waiting for you since birth. It is time for the first descent. The day arrives, not with ceremony, but with a rough shake of the shoulder in the pre-dawn chill. You are old enough now. Your hands are big enough, your back is strong enough. Or so they say. There is no choice in the matter. The mind demands bodies, and you are a body. You follow your father's stooped form through the winding, grimy paths of the Warrens towards the gaping maw of the mine entrance. It looks like a wound in the side of the mountain, a dark, hungry mouth that has swallowed generations of your family and is now ready to swallow you. The air that spills from it is cold, damp, and smells of deep, wet earth and the metallic tang of crushed stone. It's a smell you've known your whole life, but to stand at the threshold is to understand it as a threat. Your father hands you a pickaxe. It is not a new one. The wooden handle is dark and smooth, worn into glassy perfection by the sweat and grip of other hands, his hands and his father's before him. The iron head is chipped and scarred. It is a family heirloom, but it is not a treasure. It is a sentence. The weight of it is staggering. It's a dead, clumsy thing in your grasp, and your young arms tremble just holding it upright. This tool, you realize, is not an extension of your body. Your body is to be an extension of it. You are the muscle, the leverage, the living component of a simple machine designed for one purpose: to break rock. You step inside. The transition is absolute. The pale, gray light of the Markarth morning is extinguished, replaced by a profound and total darkness, broken only by the flickering, greasy flame of the tallow candle on your helmet. The world shrinks to a tiny, dancing circle of light that illuminates a wet stone wall, the back of the man in front of you, and the swirling clouds of your own breath. The noise is the next thing to hit you. It's a deafening, echoing cacophony. The sharp, ringing clang of dozens of pickaxes striking stone, the grating scrape of shovels, the low rumble of ore carts, and the guttural shouts of the foreman. It's not a symphony. It's a war against the mountain itself. Your father points to a section of the wall. There is no grand instruction, no lesson in geology. There is only a grunt and a simple, unspoken command. Work. You lift the pickaxe. The weight is immense, a betrayal of your young muscles. Your first swing is a clumsy, pathetic arc. You miss the wall entirely, the pickaxe head burying itself in the dirt floor with a dull thud that sends a jarring shock up your arms. Laughter, rough and unkind, echoes from the darkness around you. Your face burns with shame, a heat more intense than any smelter. You pull the pickaxe free, your hands already stinging, and you try again. This time you hit the rock. The impact is a violent, full-body concussion. The stone, which looks so brittle, feels like it's hitting back. Your hands, soft and uncalloused, scream in protest. A blister forms, tears, and begins to bleed, the salty sweat stinging the raw skin. But you swing again, and again, and again. You fall into the rhythm of the mine, the rhythm of your life. Lift, swing, impact. Lift, swing, impact. Your arms burn, your back shrieks, your lungs fill with the thick, choking stone dust. You are no longer a boy. You are a machine made of flesh, and you are already beginning to break. Hours bleed into one another, measured only by the slow burning down of your candle. Your hands are a mess of raw, weeping blisters. Your body is a single, unified chorus of pain. But you do not stop. To stop is to be worthless, and to be worthless is to starve. You look at the small pile of ore at your feet, a pathetic reward for an eternity of labor. It is nothing, but it is a start. As you lean against the cold wall, gasping for air that offers no relief, you look at your father. He is still swinging, his movements economical, powerful, a lifetime of practice. He doesn't look at you. He doesn't need to. He knows the pain you feel. He has been feeling it his entire life. You have taken your first step. You have joined the endless grinding dance. And you know, with a cold certainty that settles deeper than the stone dust in your lungs, that you will continue this dance until the day the mountain finally claims you. The only question is how much silver you can tear from its grasp before it does. This is the beginning of your long, intimate war, the rhythm of the vein. The years pass, measured not in seasons, but in the slow erosion of your body and the sharpening of your skill. The clumsy boy who could barely lift his pickaxe is gone, buried under layers of calloused skin and hardened muscle. The pain is still your constant companion, a dull, permanent ache in your back and shoulders, but it is no longer your master. It is simply part of the rhythm, the bass note in the song of your labor. You are a miner now, not just by trade, but in your very essence. The mine is no longer a terrifying, alien world. It is your workshop, your cathedral, your tomb. Your hands are no longer your own. They are tools, shaped by the craft. The skin is a tough, leathery hide, as hard as the handle of your pickaxe, crisscrossed with a roadmap of white, silvery scars from 1,000 cuts and scrapes. Your knuckles are swollen, your joints thick and stiff. You cannot make a delicate fist anymore. Your hands are permanently curled into a half grip, the shape required to hold your axe. They are ugly things, these hands. Brutal. But they are instruments of incredible sensitivity. You can run your palm over a rock face and feel the subtle change in temperature that hints at a silver vein beneath. You can tap the stone with a knuckle and, from the sound of the echo, know its density, its integrity, its secrets. You have learned the language of the stone. You no longer swing with mindless fury. Each strike is a calculated word in a long, violent conversation with the mountain. You know where to hit and how hard. A sharp, high-pitched tink tells you the rock is hard, barren. A dull, soft thud speaks of loose earth, a waste of your energy. But then you hear it. A deep, resonant thrum. A sound that vibrates not just in your ears, but up the handle of the axe and into the bones of your arm. It is the sound of silver. The sound of a rich, promising vein, trapped and waiting for you. And when you hear it, your heart, buried under its own layer of stone dust, gives a small, triumphant leap. This is your art. It is a brutal, percussive dance. You move with an economy of motion born of 1,000,000 repetitions. Your body pivots, your shoulders swing. The pickaxe becomes a seamless extension of your will, striking the exact same spot over and over. The air grows thick, with the sharp, metallic smell of fractured rock. Sweat pours down your face, carving clean paths through the layers of grime. And then, it happens. A deep crack echoes through the tunnel. A spiderweb of fractures appears on the rock face. With one final, perfectly placed blow, a great chunk of stone breaks free, and there, revealed in the flickering candlelight, is the prize. A thick, brilliant line of pure silver, glittering like a trapped constellation in the darkness. In this moment, you are not a slave. You are not a wretch scrabbling in the dirt. You are a creator. You have peeled back the skin of the world and revealed the beauty hidden within. You have imposed your will upon a thing that has existed for eons. It is a moment of pure, savage pride. This glittering vein is your accomplishment, your discovery, your masterpiece. You touch it, the raw silver cool and slightly greasy against your scarred fingertips. This is wealth. This is value. This is the thing that drives the city above. And you are its master. You are the one who calls it forth from the darkness. But the moment is fleeting. The pride fades, replaced by the familiar ache in your back and the burning in your lungs. The silver is not yours to keep. You are merely the tool that extracts it. Your job now is to break it up, to haul the heavy ore to the carts, to feed the insatiable hunger of the smelters and the Silverblood family. Every beautiful vein you uncover is another nail in your own coffin. For each piece of silver you bring into the light, you leave a little more of your own life force behind in the dark, a fine dust of bone and breath that settles on the floor of the mine. The dance is exhilarating, but the price is absolute, and once your shift is over, you must leave this kingdom where you are a master and return to the place where you are just another piece of property. You must return to the Warrens. You emerge from the mine like a ghost, being born into a world of gray. Your eyes, accustomed to the absolute dark, shrink from the pale, oppressive sky of Markarth. The air, which should feel fresh, feels thin and empty, without the familiar weight of stone dust. You walk, not with the confident rhythm of your work, but with the slow, shuffling gait of utter exhaustion. Every muscle screams, your joints grind, and your back is a solid, unbending column of pain. You are leaving the place where your skill gives you meaning, and returning to the place that reminds you of your worthlessness. You are going home. To the Warrens. The warrens are not a village or a neighborhood. They are a human landfill, a slum carved into the rock with the same brutal indifference as the mines, but with none of its purpose. The entrance is a dark, foul-smelling passage that feels like descending into another, more hopeless kind of mine. The air here is thick, but not with the clean scent of stone. It's a putrid stew of unwashed bodies, stale cooking smoke, cheap ale, and human waste. It's the smell of poverty, a dense, suffocating blanket that clings to your clothes and your skin. There is no privacy here. Your life is a public spectacle. Every argument, every sob, every moment of sickness is shared with the 50 other families crammed into the same damp, cavernous space. Your home is a small alcove, separated from your neighbors by a ragged curtain of hide. There is a pile of flea-ridden straw that serves as a bed for you, your wife, and your children. There is a small, smoky fire pit where a thin, watery stew bubbles in a pot. This is the sum total of the wealth you have earned from a lifetime of tearing silver from the earth. You look at the shining, ornate stonework of the city above, the grand temples and the fortified treasury, and you see the silver you mined. You see it in the rings on the jarl's fingers and the filigree on a noblewoman's dress. And then you look at the bowl of thin gruel in your hands. This is your share. The contrast is a joke so bitter it could curdle milk. You sit on the stone floor, your back protesting with every small movement, and you eat. You do not speak. There is nothing to say. Your wife, her face already lined with a weariness that mirrors your own, tends to the children. You see the faint, silvery dust in their hair, on their faces. You see your son, his small hands already tough from playing with rocks, and you see the future. You see him holding your pickaxe. The thought brings not pride, but a cold, heavy dread that settles in your gut, like an undigested stone. You are not just feeding your family. You are preparing the next sacrifice for the mountain. The warrens are a testament to a single, brutal truth. The silver is more important than you are. The city needs the metal, but it treats the men who mine it as disposable. If you are injured, you are cast aside. If you grow sick, you are left to die. There is always another boy, strong and desperate, ready to take your place in the dark. You are surrounded by the evidence. The old men, their backs bent into permanent question marks, their hands gnarled into useless claws, sit in the dark corners, wheezing and coughing. They are you in 10 or 20 years. They are living ghosts, already buried by the mine long before they are put in the ground. You finish your meal. You give your wife the few coins you were paid, enough for more grain, more firewood. It is a cycle that never ends. You dig the silver to get the coins to buy the food, to have the strength to dig more silver. You are a cog in a machine that is designed to grind you into dust. As you lie down on the rustling straw, the familiar lullaby of the pickaxes from the mines still echoing faintly through the stone, you close your eyes. But sleep does not bring escape. It brings dreams of falling rock and endless darkness. And you know that the true cost of the silver is not measured in coin. It is measured in the slow, relentless erosion of your body. The mountain is patient, and it is beginning to collect its price, a price paid in dust and bone, a price that begins with a small, persistent tickle in your chest. The price in dust and bone, the silver cough. It starts so quietly you almost don't notice it. A little tickle in the back of your throat as you walk home from the mine, a small cough in the morning, which you dismiss as a consequence of the damp, cold air of the warrens. It's nothing, a minor annoyance, but it doesn't go away. It becomes your new, unwelcome companion, a shadow that follows you into the mine and back out again. The cough deepens. It's no longer a simple tickle. It's a dry, rattling hack that shakes your entire frame, a sound that feels like it's being produced by grinding stones deep within your chest. You are no longer a young man. The years have carved themselves into your face, and the mine has remade your body in its own image. Your back is permanently stooped, a graceful arc of submission to the low ceilings of the tunnels. It screams at you in the morning when you rise, and it screams at you at night when you lie down. Your knees crack and grind with every step, the cartilage worn away by a million years of squatting and lifting. But it is the cough that is the true mark of your trade, the silver cough. Every miner in Markarth knows it. It is the city's other lullaby, the one that signals the end, not the beginning. Your breath becomes a precious commodity. The walk to the mine, once a simple chore, is now a struggle. You find yourself pausing, leaning against a cold stone wall, gasping for air that feels thin and useless. In the mine itself, the thick, dusty air is a torment. Each swing of the pickaxe knocks a little more breath from your lungs, and each inhalation feels like swallowing a mouthful of fine, sharp sand. You try to hide it. You stifle your coughs, turning your head away from the foreman, pretending the sweat on your brow is only from exertion, not from the desperate struggle to breathe. Because to show weakness is to be replaced, and you have a family to feed. The dust that you have breathed your entire life has finally taken root. It has settled in the soft pink tissues of your lungs and has begun its slow, petrifying work. Your lungs are becoming like the mountain itself, hard, unyielding, and full of stone. You can feel it. You can feel the lack of expansion, the tightness in your chest, the rattling vibration with every painful breath. You cough into your hand, and sometimes you see it, a fine, grayish grit mixed with a speck of red. You are literally coughing up the mine. You are coughing up your life. Your craft, the thing that gave you purpose and a fleeting sense of pride, has become your executioner. The mystical connection you once felt with the stone, the ability to read its secrets, now feels like a cruel betrayal. The mountain whispered its secrets to you, and all the while, it was silently, patiently killing you. You look at your hands, once instruments of power, now gnarled and twisted with arthritis, the joints so swollen you can barely close them around the handle of your pickaxe. Every beautiful thing you have ever created, every glittering vein of silver you have torn from the rock, has been paid for with a piece of your own body. You sit in the warrens at night, the sound of your own wheezing breath, a constant reminder of your decay. You watch the other old miners, their bodies broken, their lungs shot, sitting in the shadows and waiting for the end. You are one of them now. You have joined their wheezing chorus. You are no longer just a miner. You are a monument to the true cost of Markarth's wealth, a living, breathing, dying testament to the fact that the city is not built on stone, but on the broken bones and petrified lungs of men like you. And as you struggle for breath in the dark, you sometimes hear whispers on the wind, stories of another kind of people who inhabit these hills, a people who do not serve the stone, but worship it, a people who are not owned by the Nords or the Silverbloods. You hear the whispers of the echoes of the old gods. Your world has always been small. It consists of two places, the suffocating darkness of the mine and the crowded, hopeless darkness of the warrens. The city of Markarth itself, with its stone bridges and waterfalls, is just a backdrop, a stage for a play you are not part of. But sometimes news from the world beyond the city walls trickles down into your slum. It comes in the form of nervous whispers from the city guards, angry boasts from a Nord foreman, or the fearful gossip of merchants. They are stories of the forsworn. To the people of the city, they are savages, wild men and women who dress in furs and feathers, their skin painted with strange symbols. They are murderers who ambush caravans, raiders who terrorize farms, a constant, nagging threat that the Jarl can never seem to fully extinguish. You hear the tales of their brutality, of their strange magic drawn from blood and bone. The city guards speak of them with a mixture of hatred and fear. They are the enemy, the other, a problem to be solved with steel. But to you, in the quiet, wheezing darkness of your hovel, the stories sound different, You filter them through the lens of your own life. The Nords and the Silverblood clan who own your city, who own your body, they call the Forsworn rebels. But you learn that the Reach, this land of stone and sky, was once theirs. The Nords conquered it, took it from them. Just as they took the mountain, and just as they take the life from you, swing by swing, breath by breath. The Forsworn are not just fighting for territory. They are fighting the same masters you serve, only they are fighting with axes and arrows, while you fight with a pickaxe that slowly kills you. You see them sometimes, the captured ones, dragged through the city streets in chains on their way to Sidna Mine, a prison from which no one returns. You see the fierce, unbroken pride in their eyes. They look at the stone walls of Markarth not with awe, but with a burning hatred. They see a monument to their own defeat, and in their glare, you feel a strange, forbidden flicker of connection. They look at you, a stooped, dusty miner, with a gaze that is hard to read. Is it pity? Contempt? Or do they see in your broken form another kind of prisoner, another victim of the same enemy? The Forsworn worship the old gods. They draw power from the earth, the sky, the bones of beasts. Your own gods, if you even have them anymore, are silent. They do not answer prayers from the bottom of a mine shaft. The Forsworn seem to be part of the land itself. They move through the hills like ghosts, their knowledge of the terrain a weapon. You, too, have a deep knowledge of the land, but only of its guts. You know its veins of silver, its pockets of ore. They know its winds, its hidden paths, its spirit. They live in the world you are digging a grave in. The thought is a dangerous one, a small seed of rebellion planted in the barren soil of your soul. You would never join them. You are not a warrior. You are a miner, a husband, a father. Your life is one of quiet, grinding servitude, not open rebellion. To even speak a word in their favor would mean your death, or worse, a one-way trip to Sidna Mine to join them in chains. And so you remain silent. You lower your eyes when the prisoners are marched past. You nod dumbly when the foreman rails against the savage Forsworn. You are a cog in the machine, and you are too broken to do anything but continue to turn. But at night, when the coughing fits rack your body, and the stone walls of the warrens feel like they are closing in, you think of them. You think of people who would rather die on their feet in the open air than live on their knees in the dark. They are a ghost of a choice you never had, a painful reminder of a freedom you will never know. And they are the last echo of the outside world you will ever consider before your own world shrinks to its final, narrow point, the point of the last candle. The day comes when you cannot lift the pickaxe. Your hands, gnarled and locked into permanent claws, refuse to grip the smooth, worn handle. Your back, a landscape of petrified pain, will not straighten. Your lungs, two heavy sacks of stone dust, cannot draw enough air to fuel the smallest movement. The mine has finally taken everything. You are no longer a miner. You are a piece of discarded equipment, too broken to be of any use. They do not give you a pension. They do not thank you for your service. They simply stop paying you. Your son, his shoulders still straight and his hands not yet ruined, takes your pickaxe from your unprotesting grasp and walks into the darkness in your place. The cycle is complete. You spend your days now in the darkest corner of your family's alcove in the Warrens. You are a creature of the shadows once more, but without purpose. Your world has shrunk to the size of a straw pallet. The sounds of the city, the shouts of the guards, the distant clang of the smithy, they are all faint, irrelevant noises from another world. The only sound that matters is the one inside your own chest, the constant wet rattle of your breathing, a sound like gravel being gently stirred in a shallow pool of water. It is the sound of your body slowly, finally, giving up. Your life passes before you, not in a grand flash of images, but in a series of sensory ghosts. You feel the phantom weight of the pickaxe in your hands. You smell the sharp, metallic tang of a freshly broken silver vein. You hear the deep, satisfying crack of the rock giving way under a perfect blow. These are the moments of pride, the fleeting instances of mastery that made the suffering bearable. They flicker in your mind like dying candles, casting a brief, warm glow against the encroaching darkness. Was it worth it? The question is meaningless. There was never a choice. It was the life you were given. You look at the legacy you leave behind. It is not a grand monument or a name carved in stone. Your legacy is the silver. It is the ornate goblet in the Jarl's hand as he toasts to his own wealth. It is the hilt of the sword worn by the city guard who keeps you penned in this slum. It is the heavy coin purse of the silver-blood overseer who watches your son descend into the mine. You have built this city with your own slow, painful destruction. You have traded your lungs for their luxury, your bones for their beauty. Your body is the true currency of Markarth. As the end draws near, the world outside fades completely. The only reality is the struggle for one more breath, one more rattling, painful inhalation. You are returning to the stone. The dust you have breathed your entire life is now claiming you, pulling you back into the earth from the inside out. In your final moments, the sound of your own wheezing breath begins to blend with another, more familiar sound. It is the distant, rhythmic clink, clink, clink of the pickaxes in the mine. The sound of your son and his son after him, carrying on the dance. It is the first sound you ever heard, and it is the last. The lullaby of Markarth, the lullaby of the stone, finally singing you to your final silent sleep.